The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. Welcome to our today's webinar. We're going to talk about AllFlash hyperconvergence today, and particularly about StarWind's hyperconverged appliance, now coming in AllFlash flavor. So, a little housekeeping. We are recording this session, and a recording will be available after we finish the event, as well as the presentation in the PDF format. Now, one more thing. Please check that you see the screen and that audio is good for you. I would appreciate if you send me some feedback into the questions and answers panel of GoToMeeting. Okay. So, got some good feedback, got a lot of people attending us today. That's really good. Thanks. And here we go. So, a bit about myself. I've been with StarWind for a while. I think people don't live so long. Previously, I worked with a smaller IT company. In StarWind, I've been jack of all trades. So people tend to say, because I've been in quality assurance, I've been in technical support. Right now, I'm StarWind Virtual SAN and HyperConverged Appliance Product Manager. So I know a little bit about this company. So what's the main idea of StarWind's hyperconverged appliance coming in AllFlash? Scratch all that. That's completely wrong. We're not doing AllFlash appliances for SMBs. We're doing AllFlash appliances for just one thing, which is IOPS. That's the only thing you want to see from a hyperconverged appliance packed with SSDs. And of course, you want it to be highly available, or HA. This is all you're actually looking for if you want to buy a hyperconverged appliance. Now, we've got some new members in our lineup, and I'll talk about them later. But first, I'm going to quick discuss the differences between the existing hyperconverged appliance from StarWind lineup and the ones we have added. So it's the same hardware. We didn't choose the hardware vendor. It works great. People are fascinated with support they get and with the service. Then it's the same variety of choices. You can choose the hypervisor you like. It can be different hypervisor as well. And you can do the same combination of best of breed components. Right now, we prove that these together form a really all-in-one layer for storage, security, management, and backing up your data. So really, everything you ever wanted in a hyperconverged platform is already here. So you may be wondering, where is it? And the difference is that we got rid of that old Rust spinning and making lots of noise, and we got instead Intel's drives, which proved to be the best breed choice for delivering IOPS for IO-hungry applications. Now, you may be familiar with the StarWind hyperconverged appliances line, but just wanted to remind you, we had the small line, the large line, and the extra large line. All comes in 3 different sizes. We call them short, regular, and long. I will not do a death by PowerPoint with data sheets screenshots this time. Instead, I'll just give you a small update on the HyperConverged Appliance lineup with AllFlash. Sorry. So with the small line, towers, for those who don't have a rack or don't need it, or the rack doesn't fit in the environment where the servers are supposed to operate, we have up to 12470 V2 CPU, 128 gigs of RAM, and 6 terabyte usable. With the large line, that's our main scale-out unit. These stack and scale out really well. It's up to two 2660s V3, so as far as I remember, 24 cores total, up to 256 gigs of RAM and 9.6 terabyte usable flash. And with the 2-unit XL, we've got up to two 2695 V3s, 768 gigs of RAM and 22.5 terabyte usable. So these are the typical models. All of these have 4 1 gigabit ports and 2 10 gigabit ports. And all of these are equipped with dual power supplies. The minimum starter kit here, which is a big game changer, starts with just 2 nodes. So you don't need to buy 3 of those servers. So it's essentially just 2 to make a chain. So there is one more difference between StarWind HyperConverged Appliance and, I would say, other hyperconverged appliances. I don't want to blame anyone. I don't want to put any strict names in here or anything like that, just to make sure you know what is what and where is the difference between all of them. Because a lot of people are into the hyperconversions right now, and most of new incomers have said it's just a hype, nothing special. All of them require lots of servers, lots of networking and stuff like that. With StarWind, it's a little bit different. We do not want you to buy lots of hardware and then don't know what to do with it. So back to the differentiators. Let's say we've got our initial node. We've got 1-unit server with 2 6-core CPUs, 64 gigs of RAM, and 4 times 900 gig SSDs. That config would be locked in with any other hyperconverged vendor. Instead, what StarWind allows you to do, and will still support this node, you can upgrade the CPUs, will still support it. You can upgrade the RAM and the hard drives, will still support it. So even if you go with more storage and more RAM, and actually run more virtual machines inside your hyperconverged appliance, we still support it. And we do not prohibit you from upgrading the unit. So it's scale up possible. Now, of course, the units can scale out. You can start with just 2 units, as I previously told. No 3rd unit needed. You can add a 3rd unit, a 4th unit, and of course, we do not prohibit you from adding more storage to them. So if you want to add an external shelf, go for it. If you want to add more, go for it. Add more components. Make sure that your environment fits your I/O requirements, and don't do that on the node granularity basis. Instead, modify the components you need. Don't be locked in the building block size. Now, I think you may be familiar with our software solution, but let me just remind you that the whole storage management tool keeping everything together in the hyperconverged appliance is StarWind Virtual SAN. What we do, we take the local flash storage, consume it with StarWind's virtual SAN, and give it back to the HyperConverged Appliance cluster as a centralized clustered storage resource. And not only we do that, we also make sure that this storage works faster than it would originally work if used directly. And here's why. Originally, when we are talking about AllFlash storage, and especially dedicated AllFlash storage, when your virtual machine writes some data to the disk, it first goes to the hypervisor, then it goes to the initiator, then it goes through the network, then it is cached on the SAN, and only then it gets to the disk. So in the middle, we've got a network link which is naturally slow, and it increases our latency. And latency is one of the things we want to kill in a hyper-converged appliance world. So we want to get rid of these two layers. No network involved, no initiator involved, no extra transactions. So what StarWind does instead, as soon as I/O comes in from the hypervisor layer, we intercept it before it goes to the iSCSI stack and put it directly into server's RAM. So we have a fast track. We utilize the fastest resource available here, and then we write it to disk. The best thing is we do that locally. So your virtual machine essentially feels like it is working in server's RAM all the time. So it's close to an in-memory solution, and there is actually a way to make it work all in memory as well. And it doesn't involve networking latency at all. In the backend, we just synchronize the data using dedicated 10 gig cables. Further on, when Crosspoint comes out, we'll probably switch to 50 gig E. And that's the way we get better performance than any dedicated all-flash solution. Or if the dedicated AllFlash solution is faster, that means that you probably need to spend money on 200 gigabit switches or 50 gigabit switches and 50 gigabit infrastructure for your application environment, which is a cost killer. Now, we thought that SSDs tend to fail, at least that's what people say. We didn't see that a lot. The SSDs we use proved to be really rock solid, and they don't burn at all. We actually tried to put one on fire, it doesn't burn. So I'm not sure why people say that they burn out that quick. But still, we decided having 2 copies of the data is not enough. It's always good to have a backup option, and it's always good to have a DR location. So the 3-2-1 rule says that you need to have 3 copies of your data in 2 different locations and on 2 different medias. So the primary media would be flash drives in your data center, and the offsite media would be Microsoft Azure StarWind application, where you can easily get all your virtual machines backed up. Now, I'll circle around the management capabilities for the platform to give you a brief idea of what it looks like. We had a more detailed webinar on the management just a few weeks ago with Simon Perriman from Five9 and Brian Post from Veeam. And essentially Veeam, Five9, and StarWind at this point are all managed through Five9 Manager for Hyper-V. So Five9 Manager for Hyper-V becomes your single pane of glass management for the entire cluster. It allows you to manage the hypervisor, it allows you to monitor the storage, it allows you to work with your backup jobs, it allows you to clone virtual machines, it allows you to provision them and essentially everything. So I was really fascinated with the product 5.9 have released, and I'm really glad we have adopted it for the hyperconverged platform. And with the integrations right now, where StarWind and Veeam can be managed through 5.9, you really have an easy-to-use tool for your production. Now, another thing which differentiates us from a do-it-yourself, which you may be comparing us with, saying, okay, I can get that server all by myself, I can configure it, I can install it, I can buy the components all by myself. So you may be surprised, but we do support not only our software in this offering, we do support the entire configuration. So it's hardware, it's storage, it's hypervisor, it's operating system, it's backup solution, everything. And moreover, we support it 24/7. So if a hard drive fails, we'll send you a replacement part, and one of our engineers will coordinate with the hardware vendor and make sure that the hard drive is delivered. Then once you install it, he'll assist you with reconfiguring everything to make your system operational again. With that, I'd like to thank everyone for attending our today's presentation, and let's get to questions and answers session. Now, let's see. We've got a question from Matt. On the S model, how many Ethernet uplink ports? 4. Yeah, so there are 4 1 gigabit ports and 2 10 gigabit ports in the S model. That is customizable. So if you want more 1 gigabit ports, that is also possible. Same applies to the 10 gigabit ports. As far as I remember, the S model is really big on PCI slots, so there are huge upgrade capabilities with that. Then, does that change with the large or extra large? Actually, that doesn't change with large or extra large. So by default, we equip all servers with 4 1 gigabit links and 2 10 gigabit links. Additional links can be installed if customer requires that. That applies for 25 and 50 gigabit Ethernet as well. Okay, more questions. Does the unit support ILO on one of the NICs? There is actually an iDRAC port on the server, so you can use that one for any extensive management you like. And of course, the question of performance. So I don't have the overall performance spreadsheet right now, but what I definitely remember is that the large, which is a 1 unit server, in the large configuration where it has 9.6 terabyte usable, delivers up to 130,000 IOPS, and I mean 4K full random. One more question from Robert. Is there any concern using flash drives when going for IOPS, assuming the drives will be hammered on continually? Well, here's the thing. The drives come with a warranty, and we do have several types of drives. Some of them come with no write penalty on the warranty, so you can write as much as you want, and the warranty is just for, let's say, 3 years. So if in 3 years, if the drive doesn't burn out, you're good. If it burns out, we just replace it for free. So you need to check on the exact configuration, and depending on the drive, we either provide this unlimited warranty or the disks will sustain something like 200, 300 full rewrite cycles, which, believe me, is a lot. And yes, all we know that the pricing in the virtualization and hyperconverged world is a little bit difficult. So people tend to not to disclose pricing from the first meeting, and the reason for that is the variety of configurations. So you can definitely give some ballpark pricing, but ideally just drop an email to sales@starwind.com asking about the AllFlash HyperConverged Appliance, and tell us the usable capacity you want, tell us the amount of RAM you want, and we'll provide you with pricing and tell you about all the additional options. Ideally, we'll send out a data sheet for all our attendees with the hyperconverged models, which are all flash, and you can just pick one of the models and say, I want pricing for this one. So stay tuned for the follow-up email, and feel free to contact us anytime if you have any questions. Also, if you have any questions to me, my email is max@starwind.com, really easy to remember. I'll gladly answer. All right, so these were all questions for today, and I hope the webinar was interesting for you. And stay tuned for other StarWind events. Have a great day. Bye-bye.